God's people have been removed from their own land and are living in exile. Here they are a despised minority group. But God is still working out his purposes for them even here. Though you do not see him in the book, he is still sovereign. King Xerxes, who rules over the entire Persian Empire, he has just got rid of his own queen, which makes room for another. After a beauty pageant, he selects a secret Jew, Esther, to be his wife, and so she is brought into a position of royal authority. But then we meet the villain, who has just planned to have all of the Jews executed on a particular day, and what's more, he's managed to convince the king to put it into law. It's here we pick up with chapter 4. If the government announces that all God's people are going to be wiped out, how would you respond? Well, for Mordecai, who is Esther's adoptive father, there is only one way that he can respond, and that is in grief. He tears his clothes and puts on sackcloth. He covers himself in ash as a sign of his grief and mourning. And it's not just him, it's the whole people of God across the whole empire that are doing the same thing, with fasting and no doubt prayer as well. The only appropriate response for them is to lament. We don't tend to be very good at lamenting, at least not here in the UK, where we're known for our stiff upper lips and a proper decorum at all times. But perhaps we need to learn from them that it's right and proper at times to lament, at times of national crisis or of personal tragedy. It is good and proper to express our grief and our sorrow, especially when it compromises God's people or risks God's glory. There's a bit of toing and froing between Mordecai and Esther as messages are sent between them both using Esther's servant. And the message is made clear to Esther about the threat that the Jews are facing. And Mordecai asks her if she would be willing to use her royal position to approach the king. She sends the message back, however, pointing out that if she were to go into the king's presence uninvited, then she herself risks being killed. The next message from Mordecai is absolutely brilliant. In this, he recognizes that God is a saving God, that even if he doesn't save through Esther, he will save his people. Of course, we know that God has definitively saved his people in Jesus, who died as the one who would save his people from their sins. Mordecai also knows that God works through the individual circumstances of our lives for his own glory and his purposes. And so he wonders if maybe this is the reason Esther has been chosen to be queen for such a time as this. In her final message, Esther explains that she is willing. She is willing to face her own death if it might mean the saving of God's people. And in this she echoes the words of her greater Saviour, Jesus, who was willing to face death, saying to his Father, "Not my will, but yours be done." And in this he saved God's people. Well, join us again for Esther chapter 5 next time. If you want to know when that's coming, hit the bell icon for notifications of when that video hits YouTube. See you there.